All right. Hello and happy Friday, everyone. Nick Marro here with Smitty, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Do have to kind of preface this and let you guys know that depending on which site you're playing on, you're looking at a little bit of a different slate. The DK slate, I believe, has 7 games. Both slates lock at 7 p.m. The FanDuel slate is 11. There's 4 late games that are not on the DK main slate. We are going to do our best to go through game by game. I was joking with Smitty beforehand. The 2 streams I've done so far with Jay Hawkins has been 2. I'm going to have to get my auctioneer voice going again, like we would at times last year. So looking forward to this. But I'll appreciate you being back here with me, Smitty. And we got a long season to grind ahead of us. But how you feeling about tonight so far?
Yeah, I feel like it's a pretty good slate. Personally, prefer the FanDuel one a little bit more. I just kind of like those late games, but on DraftKings, it's still a good slate. Pretty manageable 7 gamer.
Yeah. Again, we're going to go through game by game, looking at the OF index right now. He's got Luke at the top of the board, followed by Wemby. A little bit surprised they're not more popular with so many games, thinking that we're probably going to be able to find some value. But let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into the game by game breakdown. And guys, I'd love to get to every single comment. I'm pulling them up on the screen. Don't know that we could shout everyone out today, but get your questions in. I'll try to answer as many as possible, as will Smitty. But let's get into it, man. 7 p.m., we got one game locking. We got the Hawks and the Magic. A lot of the time we say, hey, if you can leave the first game off and wait for news, maybe do it. Tonight, probably not an option because Atlanta is going to be without Zachary Ricochet and Kristaps Porzingis, 2 guys that were initially projected to start going into today. Obviously not the best matchup, but one of the games that went way higher than the expected total in game one, that Miami-Orlando game. I think Orlando is going to be playing a little bit quicker this year. Yet to be seen. Atlanta, a team we know, definitely plays with some pace. But yeah, man, going to pull up Atlanta here first, right? Without KP and without Zach, we're going to be looking at a lot of Alexander Walker. The ownership has steamed on DK already. I expect we see it climb on FanDuel as well. Just very cheap as a starter. Obviously, a little bit scoring dependent, but we got him for 30 minutes. And then a Kongwu should see a little bit of a boost here. Those are the 2 I have circled. I don't mind mixing in Kennard, but yeah, I think I'm going to get to a lot of Alexander Walker, even as chalk. But Smitty, how are you breaking down these Hawks here?
Yeah, pretty similar. I think Alexander Walker is the best play here by far. Someone he's pretty much gonna be a staple in my lineups. He's the for sure value play on this slate. And then you mentioned Luke Kennard. I think he's an okay pivot. I mean, you could even play them together. Like they're missing 2 guys. It's not like it's just one. So I think Kennard also makes sense. Someone that can get hot. And then at the top end, I do like Jalen Johnson a little bit. Like you said, I think Orlando plays a little faster this year, getting Desmond Bain in there added to their lineup. I think that makes them play a little bit faster. So have some interest in Jalen Johnson. Also, should be increased rebounding available with no Porzingis out there.
Yeah, he's someone who could definitely benefit in a big way. Going a little bit overlooked by the field right now. There's a lot of good plays in that price range, but I'm with you, man. I don't think this matchup is as daunting maybe as it was last season because we're getting that boost in pace. But you mentioned Bane, so we'll use that to segue over to the Orlando Magic. Mo Wagner is the only guy on their injury report right now. Jalen Suggs does seem to be on some sort of minutes limit, capped around 20. Tyus Jones was steaming as a really popular value play. I personally don't have a ton of interest. He just doesn't have the usage that he was seeing in Memphis. And they also have Anthony Black, who they're willing to give plenty of minutes to as well. So not really loving him as a chalky value play on DK. I will say, like, their quote-unquote big 3 of Franz, Paulo, and Bain are all pretty appealing. I don't know that I'd want more than one in a lineup necessarily. They're all good. Wendell Carter Jr. looks pretty damn good in the model, one of the top value plays on both sites. But I do want to include the caveat that Goga outplayed him in game one of their season. Looked really good. He's dirt cheap. We got a lot of center value tonight. I don't know that I get to him. But for me, I don't mind the big 3. I could see taking a few shots on Carter or Batadze. But how you feeling about these Magic, man?
Yeah, I think you can take shots on any of the big 3, Bain, Franz, and Banchero. Currently on DraftKings, I'm getting the most of Banchero. I feel like he has the highest ceiling of this group. He's priced the highest too. The price on Bain is pretty nice, so he'd probably be my second favorite. And then as far as the value goes, like you said, Tyus, he's okay. Like if he's your last man in, he's not going to win you a tournament, but he's probably not going to lose it for you either. So I think he's an okay play. I'd rather play Alexander Walker, but he's playable, I guess. And then you could go to Black as a pivot if you're trying to get real crazy. And then the center situation, pretty similar to you. I think you could mix them in, but no one I really want to take a huge stand on.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And Atlanta is going to be a little bit smaller than usual tonight. Maybe that means Carter can play a little bit more than we saw him in that first game. But again, the model really does like Carter. I think that's notable. But yeah, let's just keep plugging away here. We got a lot of games to cover. Next, we got the Celtics taking on the Knicks. Let's start on the Celtics because I think they're a little bit less complicated. Knicks side, a lot of injury news that we're waiting on. For Boston, no, obviously no Tatum. He's going to be out for a while. Luca Garza is not available as well. Jaylen Brown today in the media said, "Don't bet on me." It is his birthday, so there is some narrative there, maybe competing narratives based on that press conference. But again, another team, and we're going to overuse big three today, I think. But Brown, White, and Pritchard to me, kind of their big three. Fine, kind of mixing and matching those guys. Not the best matchup against the Knicks, but they're banged up. Hart, if he plays, still kind of banged up. That defense does seem to be taking a little bit of a step back, at least early in the season. Um, I don't know. I like Brown. I'm fine getting to him. Tough to call him a priority. I think White and Pritchard are pretty much priced where they should be as well. I will bring up Namias Queta as a name. Going to be capped around 25 minutes, but a guy who is a better than fantasy point per minute producer so far this season and for a good chunk of last season as well. But yeah, I don't mind the big three. I don't mind some Queta. I'm having trouble getting the Simons off the bench. That's probably it for me, man, for Boston. How about you?
Yeah, I'm mainly only getting to the big three. I have more Pritchard and White than I do Jaylen Brown. I think Brown's fine. I'm around the field on Brown. And then Pritchard, I think, is my favorite. He's the cheapest. And then White, kind of priced where he should be, like you said, but the role's there. So I don't mind mixing him in.
Bingo, man, right there with you. And guys in chat or somebody, if you see the news, feel free to shout it out. But we got the Knicks here. A lot of stuff we're waiting on. OG is probable. Josh Hart is questionable. No Mitchell Robinson. And the biggest thing here is no Cat. There was a bit of media today that Cat kind of forced himself to play that first game. He probably would have sat it out if it wasn't the home opener. So maybe we take that and consider it here as we break down the Knicks. If Cat's in, I don't know that I'm really rushing to get to anything. Both OG and Bridges look great, but if Hart comes back, he's probably going to cut into their upside. If Hart's out, those two do stand out to me. Bridges' expected assists went way up from last season, so I don't know if that's a product of Mike Brown being the coach now or Hart being out, or it was just a matchup. We need a little bit more data on that, but I'm fine with the starters. But I will say, if Cat's out, maybe we get Yabusele sliding in. I know Huck Porty's probably going to start at center, but historically, Yabusele's been the better fantasy play. But man, I don't know. It's kind of a wait and see on the Knicks for now. I'm sure we're going to get this news to break during the stream, so we'll have to go back to them. But for now, how are you handling New York?
Yeah, for me right now, I think it's Bridges and Ananobi are guys that in the mid range I'm willing to take shots on. At the high end, not too much interest in anybody, but it's mainly Bridges and Ananobi.
Awesome, man. Yeah, right there with you. Making a good pace here so far. Appreciate you guys in the chat. MD here with a relevant question. I see your question as well, Van Negro Jones. We'll get to Coward when we get to that game. But MD, is Kennard a good play with the Hawks who's out? I'd say yes. He's kind of secondary, though. I definitely prefer Ricochet. Spinny, you said you don't mind Kennard as a pivot. Let me ask before someone else does. Would you play him with in a lineup if you're trying to get a little bit more stars and scrubs in your bills today?
Yeah, on DraftKings I would. FanDuel I wouldn't just because it's a bigger slate, but kind of a lack of value on DraftKings. I think it's fine.
Yeah, Chris here. Do we know if Jaw's going to play? He is questionable. Again, guys, as we get through the game by game, I'll try to get to these questions as they're relevant just for the flow of the show. I don't want to jump around too much. But let's keep going here. I think the next game is going to be my Brooklyn Nets representing today, hosting the Cavs as I think 12-point underdogs. This should be ugly. This Nets team is pretty much tanking. Is what it is. 5 rookies in the lineup. I guess we'll start with them. Yeah, Haywood Highsmith, Drake Powell, and Danny Wolf are all going to be out. This rotation is very difficult to project, though. I think in competitive games, we can count on Porter, Claxton, and Thomas to play 30 minutes plus. But I say that, and at the same time, I do think they're going to nerf Thomas at times this year because they're trying to drive his cost in the market down. That's a whole other conversation for another day. Ben Surratt looked good in his minutes. Igor Doyleman, I can't pronounce these names yet. Forgive me, guys. Even though it's the team I follow. Some talented kids here, but the minute ceiling isn't really there. I think those two guards I have some interest in. I think in a blowout, it's not really going to affect their minutes either way, but again, such a big slate. We already have guard value. Probably no Nets for me tonight, Smitty. How about you?
Yeah, this rotation's just tough, man. I had some lineups that were looking pretty good last slate they were on. One had Claxton and one had MPJ. They were both looking good, and then they didn't even touch the court in the fourth quarter. So I was like, well, that's my last time playing Nets. I think you could
Yeah.
take a shot on Claxton at his price. They're going to need his size out there, but he could get in foul trouble as well. So no one I really love.
Yeah, on a smaller slate, I might talk up Dayron Sharp a little bit. Again, I do think Demon and Saraf are talented kids, but this is just not the slate or matchup for it, in my opinion. We'll talk about the Nets plenty this year, though. On the Cleveland side of things, no Darius Garland. DeAndre Hunter is questionable. That is significant as he is projected to start. I think he's going to play, and on FanDuel, he does feel a little bit cheap where he has both small and power forward eligibility. Donovan Mitchell, obviously, much higher ceiling. I can say the same for Mobley, really, with Darius Garland out. I think those two look good here. The one fear, right, is going to be the blowout. This game does have a 230.5 point total. If they are blowing out the Nets, it's probably because of those two guys. But as things stand, I don't know that I could really call any a priority. Again, a lot of good plays in the 8 to 9K range tonight. Smitty, anything on Cleveland standing out to you?
I do like Mobley in this matchup. Other than him, no real priorities. I think Hunter on FanDuel looks really good. I know it's preseason, but in the preseason, we've seen Hunter have a pretty big role. He was kind of doing a little bit of everything. So, assuming he's in, I have interest in him on FanDuel, but nobody else really. I guess I can mention Lonzo Ball on DraftKings. He's cheap enough.
Yep. Yeah, I don't mind Ball. I would love to see him playing a few more minutes. And Sam Merrill, too. He's so scoring dependent. But it does seem like he is a candidate to start here. I don't know if it was me or you who said Ricochet instead of Alexander Walker. Could have been me. We got a few guys shouting out that he's out. We meant to say nah. Obviously, with Ricochet out, we're not playing Ricochet. Power, appreciate the comments, man. We'll get to Zion in a little bit. Who is the better match with the higher ceiling between Mikal Bridges and Davion? We'll get to that game as well, Jose. Again, guys, appreciate you guys. Tyler Warren did just ask about Lonzo. We talked about him, but feel free to get the questions in, but we're going to try to stick game to game as much as possible. But Justin, this is a good question, and I'm going to ask this to you, Sway, because I don't know that I have the right take on this. Any Mo Gouye is value for you? I do like the boost for Economu. I guess there is a world where we see some more run for Mo. For me, it's a little bit too cute, as we say around here. But yeah, we've seen him spike the ceiling from time to time. If he starts, maybe. I think there's better value centers on this slate, though. Any Moji love for you today?
No, not really. I think if you landed on him, you could do worse, but no one I'm really dying to play.
Yeah, just to knock this question out quickly, Luke, I think on DK, this is more of a strategy you can maybe lean on a little bit tonight. It's a huge slate, though. You don't want to leave value out of some of these other spots. And on FanDuel, especially where we have more news that's going to break later, I wouldn't want to lock up your lineup entirely with these early games. But again, making good time today, guys. Let's keep plugging away here. Next game on the slate. I think we're through the 7:30 window into 8 o'clock. We got the Pistons taking on the Rockets. Rockets look pretty damn good. Did have to go to double overtime, though, and fall to the Thunder in that first game. Tonight they'll be without Dorian Finney-Smith. Jayshawn Tate is questionable. That's a bit of a surprise to me. Fred VanVleet is going to be out. Isaiah Crawford questionable as well. Obviously, VanVleet's out for the whole year, so I don't really need to even mention that one. But yeah, Houston, pretty decent spot here. I think Detroit, while they have improved defensively over the past year or so, it's not really a matchup you need to fear. Steven Adams is one of the reasons I'm not on Moji today. I'm surprised he's not a little bit more popular. Played more minutes than expected in that first game. 36 minutes, albeit with the double overtime, but we only have him for 25, and he still looks okay in the model. I think he's kind of under-owned. Obviously, on a big slate, there's a ton of centers we can look to. One of them being Alperen Sengun, who looks really, really solid, and he is once again unknown. So I like the bigs here more than anything. I can see mixing in some Amon. The Thompson twins will be facing off against one another tonight if you want to play into that narrative a little bit. It's mostly just the bigs for me here, Smitty. And I guess if we get who was it, Tate out, I'd have a little bit more interest in someone like Eason or Smith. But coming off pretty poor performances from them, even with extended minutes, I don't know that I'm rushing to get to them. Again, I like the bigs. Smitty, how are you handling Houston?
Yep, basically the same. The bigs for me, and then Amen just feels a little bit too cheap for his role. Like you said, not a great matchup, but just with the role, and we're probably a little light on his minutes, so I think there's more upside there.
Yep, I like it, man. Reasonable price too, and I will say the price on KD on FanDuel isn't terrible, but again, I think there's just so many good plays in that 8K range tonight. Over on the Detroit side of things, Jaden Ivey's out. Karis LeVert is questionable. Sasser is going to be out. He's listed as doubtful. I don't know that the LeVert news is going to matter all that much. They do run a pretty deep rotation. The biggest thing in game one was Durant kind of got played off the floor. And we saw a ton of Isaiah Stewart. He really went off in extended minutes. This is a tough matchup for them against Sengun, this really, really big Houston team. So I don't know that I want to get to either. Cade was a letdown, but whenever he's sub 10%, even in a tough matchup, I don't mind mixing him in. But really, man, I don't think I can make a strong case for any of these Pistons tonight. How about you?
No, I think Cade, he's always playable, no matter the matchup. And then Asar on FanDuel looks like a pretty good play. Just kind of scores better on FanDuel. And if the minutes are going to be there, I'm willing to take shots on him.
Yeah, I don't mind Asar. But yeah, it's just kind of a tough spot to get to. That Houston team is it's like working your way through the forest with all these 6'11 guys. Next game on the slate here, we get the Miami Heat taking on the Grizzlies. Miami, one of the teams that's providing us a lot of value tonight because we have no Tyler Hero, no Terry Rozier. It's funny he's even on the injury report. Khalil Ware is available, banged up, and then KJ is the rookie. He's going to be unavailable as well. So Wiggins, one of the most popular plays on the slate on DK, 5,800. I definitely like him. I do think he's a little bit over-owned. I don't mind pivoting to some unowned Norm Powell as like a pay up to be contrarian kind of option there. And then Davion Mitchell, man, it feels gross. But his role on this team does seem to be that he's going to be the facilitator as long as Hero's out. I think he looks good on both sides. He was one of the most popular plays on FanDuel earlier in the day. It seems like that ownership actually came down for whatever reason, probably because we're getting some other value opening up. But yeah, I like Wiggins. I really like pivoting to Powell where I can find the salary, though. I like Bam as well. Obviously, he looks great here. And then Jovic is going to start. I don't know how to project his minutes. Jaquez, fine as value, but again, these guys are kind of boomer bust. For me, Mitchell and Powell are actually my favorites, but I will say if you're playing cash games, low risk, you're probably going to want Wiggins and or Bam in those lineups. So I do like the starters here. Not as much Jovic as the others, but yeah, I think Mitchell and Powell are kind of under-owned, and I think Wiggins is about where he should be. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. Wiggins, I'm around the field on him. Not someone I'm running to play, but he just kind of fits in a pretty rough
Mm-hmm.
position, so I think he's a pretty solid play. Um, the ownership on Bam is pretty heavy. Not someone I'm running to play. I think he's okay, but someone I'm probably going to look to get away from in tournaments. But for me, it's mainly Wiggins in a heavy part of my lineups, and then all the rest are kind of GPP plays. Never trust Spo, so I don't want to be too heavy on any of these secondary guys.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Jaquez could be great off the bench. Jovic, if he got extra run, would look awesome. But we have them capped around 25 minutes, which is kind of like the median for them. So it's tough to really know what to expect. But in tournaments, certainly mix them in. Over on the Memphis side of things, we are waiting on Ja Morant news. He is currently listed as questionable. I tend to think he plays. We'll have to wait and see on that, though. KCP also questionable. No Edie or Brandon Clark or Ty Jerome or Scottie Pippen or Vince Williams. I mean, all the ownership is going to Miami, but this is another team that could present us some value. If Morant is out, you probably see Javon Small getting the start at guard. Van Negro Jones earlier brought up Cedric Coward, who in 22 minutes put up 25 fantasy points, played really well. Two steals, though. I don't know if that's sustainable, and a block. I don't know. To answer your question, man, if Jaw's out, I don't mind mixing him in, but I actually think the guy to get to would be Javon Small, so just keep that in mind. Assuming Jaw is in, though, I don't mind some Jaw, but that's really the only guy I'm getting to other than maybe Jock Landell as a pivot off of a chalkier Steven Adams. But as I see the Adams ownership come down, I don't really know that I want to force in Jock anymore. So, Smitty, kind of a tricky spot here until we have the Jaw news, but let me know where you're at either way.
Yeah, mainly getting to Jock Landale the most out of this team. Just another value center we can mix in. Kind of helps pay up for other players. After that, it's just kind of hard. Like until we have that news, no one I'm running to play to. I think they're all fine GPP plays. But if we do get Jaw out, that kind of changes the slate. They are on the front end of a back-to-back, so he either probably plays today or tomorrow. But just by looking at the spread, it kind of looks like he's going to play.
Yeah, I tend to think so as well. But good point on the back to back. And yeah, so Susumu, it is supposed to be that high. It just seems like he's a little bit underpriced. Memphis plays fast, pretty good matchup for opponents, and no Tyler Hero. So obviously that's going to boost him as well. Luke, who nukes the slate tonight? We're about to get to, I think, my favorite play, but it's not exactly a hot take. We got the Spurs here taking on the Pelicans. San Antonio, slight favorite on the road and going into New Orleans. New Orleans might be the course field of the NBA this year. This team doesn't seem to play a ton of defense. Guys like Poole, Zion, obviously Jones could play some one-on-one, but he's not going to stop a guy like Wemby. And I say Wemby because he is my favorite play. Absolutely smashed in that first game. No surprise really there. But yeah, very high OF index score, sub 20% on DK on the short slate, only 13% owned on FanDuel with forward eligibility. So I know he's expensive. You got to jam in some of this value to fit him, but I absolutely love him here. Definitely someone I want to get to. Stephon Castle looks excellent. He's kind of pricey though for my taste. Those are the two I really have circled. I will say Luke Cornett got into some foul trouble. It seems like they're willing to play him on the floor with Wemby at times. I don't mind him as like a cheap punt if you need it off of a chalkier jock or Steven Adams, but I would rank those two I just mentioned ahead of him, but just someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, this is another rotation that's kind of tough to project. But one thing we can project is the ceiling for Wemby, I think here. Definitely someone I'm going to be kind of forcing into my single entry lineups tonight as a way to get different. Smitty, how you feeling about San Antonio?
Yeah, like you said, I think Wimby's just underpriced here. I'm willing to play some of these lower price guys to fit him in. 11-3, pretty soon we're probably going to see him at 13K. So I think play him while you can. He looks good. Castle's someone I'm mixing in tournaments, kind of more appropriately priced. And then Champagne, Keldon Johnson, Dylan Harper, all GPP plays I'm kind of just mixing into my lineups.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Over on the New Orleans side of things, a little bit of news I think we're waiting on. Kevon Looney, new addition. He's going to be out. Yves Missy is questionable. That's what we got to keep an eye on. Carlo Makovic as well. No DeJounte Murray, obviously, or Jaden Springer. Zion looks good here. This is not the best matchup for him. We kind of saw Wemby swallowing Flag and AD at times in that first game. I mean, Zion, he's going to have the usage. He can get to the rim still, but obviously not the best spot. I will say this game does have a high total, projects to be played out pretty competitively. So fine mixing in Zion. It's just he's more expensive than guys like Bam. Mobley, we've already mentioned. There's other guys in this range, AD, who we'll talk about in a minute as well. So I'm fine with Zion. I think he's slightly over-owned, though. I do like Trey Murphy more so on DK. He's pretty popular there, though. Sadiq Bey drawing 20% ownership, a little bit of a surprise to me. We do have him for 30 minutes. Model really doesn't like him. I don't know if the role's going to change here. I'd feel better if Missy's out in a weird way. But, yeah, man, I think I trust – I don't know if I trust anyone other than Murphy, but Poole, Jones, Zion, you could make a case for any of these guys. Smitty, any big stands you're taking here on the New Orleans Pelicans?
I actually do like Bay a little bit, but other than that, nobody. Just small forward, power forward eligibility. Small forward's pretty weak,
Yeah.
so I don't mind getting to Bay. They've shown they're willing to play in minutes, so I'm kind of just trusting that.
Yeah, I actually had him in a dummy build earlier today. Then I saw the model like 2.6 off index is kind of crazy. Can't fully wrap my head around that, but it does seem like the role is changing. And again, early in the season, certain guys can be over or under projected as their roles are changing, obviously. So something to keep an eye on. But good game environment here. Very high total. Should be pacey. Obviously, Wemby looks tremendous. I think he's under owned, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that ownership steam a little bit. Moving into the 8:30 window here, we have the Wizards taking on the Mavericks. Let's start with the Wizards here. Only Bilal Coulibaly is out, so no real injuries we have to worry about unless something comes up pre-lock, as it often does. But Sar, I don't know, a talented kid, but overpriced. CJ McCollum, definitely going to be shooting the ball a lot here, but I don't know, man. It's just tough to get to anyone, but I will say Trey Johnson looked awesome. Bob Carrington definitely has some upside. They got some young talent here. It's just like, I don't know. It's all priced where it should be. You can't really tell who's going to spike game to game. In a weird way, they're like a little bit better version of the Nets. Like McCollum is the MPJ, and then they got all these rookies, but it's just tough to really know what to expect from them. So I don't know. Not much Washington for me. How about you?
Yeah, kind of a tough team to get to, but a team you can play in tournaments, like take some shots on a few dudes. I think McCollum and Middleton by far probably look the best to me. Well priced. They were training for about 30 minutes in their first game, which Chris Middleton at 30 minutes is actually a pretty solid play.
That's
If
true.
they can keep the game close, that's probably the biggest thing. And then Sar on FanDuel, I think, is worth a tournament play, but on DraftKings, pretty hard to get to.
Yeah, on DraftKings, he's 700 more expensive and center only. So with you on
Yeah.
that as a FanDuel play. Here we got Dallas. Let's talk through their situation. Gafford was ruled out, which is significant. Obviously, Kyrie going to be out for a while. No Dante Exum either. Cooper Flag. I haven't done a stream with Chuck yet, but we have a bet on his success this season. I'm pretty high on him. He's pretty low on him. I do think it's going to take a few weeks for him to settle in, but what better matchup than here against the Wizards? He is super popular, though. He doesn't have that point guard eligibility on FanDuel, but I don't think it hurts him too much because, if anything, I'd be playing him at small forward. All that to say, don't think I'm getting to him much on either side tonight. PJ Washington was 3K in his first game, up to 5K. That's still too cheap, if we're being honest, especially with Gafford out. I do think he's kind of a core play for your cash builds over there. On FanDuel, I'm fine getting to AD. Definitely cheaper on DK, though. I think Flag is probably the best Maverick on FanDuel in a weird way. But at the same time, I don't know that the price on DK is warranted yet. I like Washington. I like Davis over here. That's probably it for me. I think the field's getting to Najee Marshall a little bit too aggressively. We're going to have to kind of wait and see what that role looks like. I think Russell, Nemhard, et cetera, could cut into those minutes. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I like PJ Washington a lot on DK. Don't mind Flag over on FanDuel. But again, tricky situation, but it is a damn good game environment against the Wizards.
Yep, pretty much where I'm at. I have a lot of AD, a lot of PJ Washington right now. I think they're both pretty good plays. Paying 2K more for PJ, and I still have quite a bit. And then AD looks really good. I'm kind of under the field on Flag. I mean, this is a good matchup for him going up against Washington, but if they're going to keep playing him at point guard, it's kind of tough to get there.
Yeah, it was weird. He shot terribly to come out in that game. He still finished with a double-double, had 21% usage, but it is weird that he's running the point. And they came out in the second half, and I feel like Jason Kidd was like, "You're taking the first 5 shots," and that's why he was able to score a few points there. But again, very tough spot last time out against the Spurs. Much softer matchup here against the Wizards. Taking a quick look at chat, Deuce McBride slated to start for the Knicks. Okay, so who's going to be out for the Knicks? Shout out Power here with some news. Again, guys, I don't have Twitter up right this second, so Missy and Makovich are going to be out for the Pels. Okay, so Jose's question here was Davion Mitchell or Mikal Bridges. I think you got to favor Mikal. He definitely has the higher floor. But if he becomes super popular, I like pivoting to Davion in tournaments. Smitty, how are you leaning in that one?
Yeah, I would lean McHale. In the largest field tournaments, I think you could go Davion, though.
Yeah, Chuck here with a good question. Shouts out to Chuck, our fellow colleague. With Missy out, what are we thinking about Derek Queen? I mean, is he going to slide in and start, or I don't know? They just signed DeAndre Jordan. I don't think he's going to be ready to go, and I don't think I would want to play him anyway. But any interest in Queen? Obviously, talented kid. I think they took him in the first round, but only played 14 minutes against Memphis. Missy was out for that game too, right? No, he wasn't. Missy played. So, yeah, is Queen someone we should be mixing in with this other center value? Not really a name I had circled, but maybe it's someone we should be thinking about. So I'm right with you, Chuck, asking the same question myself. Smitty, enlighten us.
I think you could, but I do think DeAndre Jordan's actually going to play as many minutes as he can handle tonight. They pretty much went and signed him off the streets to come handle or try and handle Wemby. I'm pretty sure that's what he's there for. I don't think they want to throw Queen into the Wolves like that, but maybe they will. So I think you could. It's worth getting a few percent of.
Yeah, and I normally I'd be like they could just run small, but I don't know. It's Wemby, and I don't know. No matter who they put in there, I think Wemby's going to get what he wants. So, pretty interesting situation. Definitely a starting lineup to keep an eye on. I do think Queen's ownership would steam a little bit, but we'd have to project his minutes much higher if he starts there as well. And yeah, Power bringing up the fact that McBride's starting. McBride to me looks really good. Who is out for the Knicks though? Do we know that yet?
No, that's what I'm looking right now. I don't think they said. Or, yeah, they haven't said yet. So I'm guessing somebody is.
Okay. And yeah, Queen's already up to 20% ownership. I mean, it's as bad of a matchup for rookie center as you can have. But again, he's so cheap. I don't think it's crazy if you need the value. It's viable. I do like McBride a lot starting, regardless of who's going to be available here. But if everyone's ruled in, maybe proceed with some caution on that. Justin E, I don't mind Herbert Jones. It's just there's certain games he's involved on offense, other games he's not. Smitty, any thoughts on Herbert here?
He's fine. Just a play I'm willing to mix in. Not really anyone I'm taking a stand on.
Yeah, and Warren here also speculating about the Knicks lineup. We should have this soon, guys, so we'll talk about it more. Could see Towns slide down to the 5. Obviously, he played the 4 in that first game next to 40, but is Towns going to play? They also got a bunch of other guys that are questionable, so we'll have to wait and see on that. So we are actually through the DK slate now, guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk through these late games. You can play the late slate over on DK, or you could play the FanDuel slate. These games are going to matter. So just kind of keep that in mind as we progress through these last 4. First 10 o'clock game we're going to break down here. Let's go with the Golden State Warriors taking on the Portland Trailblazers. The Warriors are on a back-to-back going into Portland. Slight favorites on the road here, 227.5 point total. Shouts out Kerr for actually getting the injury report out. No Melton, no Tui. Al Horford is out and Kuminga is probable. Does that mean Mooney's going to be back and available tonight? That would cut into someone like Gary Payton. But yeah, I do think Jimmy Butler's still a little bit too cheap on DK if you are playing the late slate. Over on FanDuel, they priced him up 100. He's fine over there as well. No one seems to be getting to him. Maybe draws some Kamara here, who's obviously a great defender. That could be tricky. Curry did catch fire late in that game. Don't usually love playing shooters on back-to-backs, but he's a bit of an anomaly. And yeah, if Kuminga starts again, I think he's fine. But back-to-back on such a big slate, Smitty, against a pretty good defensive team in Portland, albeit one without a head coach. Are you getting to many of these Golden State Warriors over on FanDuel?
It's a team I'm probably just going to avoid. I think Kuminga, as long as he's good to go, he's worth some GPP shots. Everyone else is just kind of fine, I guess.
Yeah. And yeah, guys, we will go back and talk about some of this big news with Queen, McBride, etc. But let's just rip through the game by game first. Over on the Portland side, obviously no Scoot Dame or Robert Williams. Drew Holiday has been kind of running the point here. No surprise. His role is definitely more favorable for fantasy production now that he's in Portland. Denny looks good. Shady on Sharp, Tamani Kamara. I mean, all these guys kind of priced where they should be in a decent matchup. I really do like Drew on FanDuel, just way too cheap in my opinion at 5,600. I think Denny's underpriced. I think Sharp's underpriced. Honestly, Clayton too. I mean, all of these starters, I won't say Kamara just because he's kind of defense first, and I usually don't love playing those guys in fantasy, but this whole starting lineup is pretty appealing to me. I'm not going to lie if you're playing on FanDuel. Smitty, how much love for the Blazers do you have?
Yeah, I agree. I think they all look pretty good. Denny's a little bit too cheap. Hasn't been great so far, but I like him. And then, like you said, Drew with that role change. Well, not really a role change, just more minutes. I think that's a big thing. At 5,600, I think he looks like a pretty solid play on FanDuel.
Yeah, and like Denny and Sharp are going to take up some usage, but it's not like he's playing next to Tatum, Brown, and White anymore. So still running the point, but a little bit of a different point. We got Minnesota here taking on the Lakers. 226.5 point total, really tight spread in this one. Minnesota, Rocco Z is the only guy on the injury report, so they're about as healthy as they could be here. We'll start on this side. Anthony Edwards drawing absolutely no ownership. I kind of like him here. He's going to get up for this game in LA, I think. Don't mind mixing him in as kind of a low-owned tournament play. He is pricey, but I do think the ceiling's there. Other than that, I don't know that I'm really rushing to anything. DiVincenzo is going to continue to start at point guard. He was a bit of a disappointment in that first game. I do think the price on FanDuel is kind of appealing, though. He did stop at 20 minutes. I think we could see more run from him here, so definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, man, I don't know. I like Edwards. I think he's under owned. Don't mind mixing in McDaniels or DiVincenzo, but not much for Minnesota for me. How about you?
Yeah, I like Edwards quite a bit. I think he's someone I want to be overweight on. And then on DraftKings night slate, I'm going to play quite a bit of Edwards. So I think he looks pretty good. I'm fine with getting to Randall on FanDuel as well. I think he's probably a little too low owned. And then DiVincenzo, I don't know. He's a tough click. Like his minutes aren't as secure as you would think. It just depends how he's shooting. So he's fine to get to, but when he's chalk, I'm more tempted to avoid him.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, he's not chalk tonight, but it's just not the best spot. Until we see those minutes settle a little bit more, I don't think we necessarily need to be rushing to him. Again, a lot of value starting to open up. Over on the Lakers side of things, Jackson Hayes is questionable. LeBron James is out. No Maxi Kleber or Adu Thiero. No ownership on Luca. Again, 4% owned. Obviously, he's expensive, but as more value does open up, I think we see guys like Wemby, Luca, and even steam up a little bit. But I don't know that it's enough. If we're talking in terms of what the field should be doing. So I do like Luka here, even in kind of a tricky matchup. I definitely think the upside is there. The price on Reeves on FanDuel, a little bit bloated at 8,100, but we've seen him have huge games with LeBron out. Don't mind getting to him. Other than that, nothing I'm really prioritizing. I don't have much interest in Ayton, Rui, Vincent, etc. Smitty, any Lakers for you? Again, a very, very low owned team.
Yeah, it's only Luca for me. I think Luca looks like a good play to get overweight on FanDuel. And then in the night slate, I think Reeves looks like a pretty good play. Just kind of appropriately priced on FanDuel, but it's mainly Luca, and that's about it.
Yep. And we're just going to keep going through the game by game, guys. I know we got news, questions, all that good stuff that we will be addressing, and we will do a dummy build, at least on DK. We still got some time here. But over in Sacramento, we got the Utah Jazz coming into town. Kings, slight favorites. Sabonis kind of surprisingly going to be active. But let's start on the Jazz side of things. No Isaiah Collier, no Georges Niang. Otherwise, they are going to be healthy. Kessler looked tremendous in that first game. One of my better lineups had him at like 2%. But he's pricey on FanDuel with 7,600 now. You do get extra points for the stocks. Don't mind getting to him a little bit. Other than that, it's tough, man. Again, another team that carries a lot of bodies with them. Very, very deep bench. I don't know. I could maybe make a case for Lauri Markkanen at 6,700. I do think that's a little bit cheap, but he has not looked great. Keontae George, always fine getting to him. I just think there's better guard plays in that price range. Not much Utah love from me tonight, Smitty. How about you?
Yeah, same. I think Laurie looks fine on FanDuel, and then Walker Kessler as a GPP play. Like we have him at 1%. If you got 2%, I think that's pretty good.
Nice, man. Yeah, right there with you. Over on the King side, I already mentioned it. Sabonis is going to be back tonight. Dealing with, I think, what is it, a hamstring? It seems a little bit rushed, in my opinion. I guess we'll wait and see. But now that he's back, it's going to cut into the usage of the rest of these starters. I will say no Keegan Murray is somewhat significant. I'm seeing some sites actually projecting Malik Monk to slide into the starting lineup at the 3 next to Schroeder and Levine. Would be an interesting look to have all the guards out there. I don't think I could play Sabonis. I don't know that he's going to get his full run of minutes. I don't like that he's playing hurt. He's also priced where he should be. Again, tons of great 8 to 9K plays. I know I've said it 20 times already. If Monk starts, I do think that's a little bit of a boost for him. Wouldn't mind getting some of him. DeRozan, Levine, obviously scoring dependent, but viable in tournaments. No priorities for me here, man. Sabonis coming back kind of throws a wrench into things. This game does have a high total. It is a pretty good matchup here against Utah, but again, as this rotation includes another big body that's going to take up a lot of minutes and usage, I just think a lot of these guys are a little bit overpriced. Any love for the Kings for you?
Yeah, rip to Clifford, man. That's pretty rough. But overall, I think it's Levine on FanDuel. I think he's the point per dollar. He's my favorite. Pretty good ceiling in this matchup. Monk, if he starts, I'm willing to mix in. I'm kind of like you. I'm pretty much going to stay away from Sabonis, but he is a tank, so it wouldn't surprise me if he just went out there and played 35 minutes.
Yeah, you never know with him. I mean, if he's playing, you have to think he's healthy enough to play. I mean, it's a cliche, and I'm saying the same word twice in the same sentence. But one more game here, guys. Then we'll get into all this news and all the questions. Phoenix Suns taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. The only 10:30 game. Clippers, pretty decent sized favorites. They've looked pretty bad though, for being completely honest. But starting on the Phoenix side of things, only Jalen Green, new addition, is going to be out tonight. I kind of like Booker for the same reasons we like Edwards and some of these other high upside guys that are going to be low owned. Grayson Allen, super, super popular over there. 5,700 coming off a great shooting performance. I don't mind mixing him in. I do think he's a bit over owned, though, if I'm being completely honest. We got the douche in our Discord, resident Suns fan. He was talking about how he thinks Brooks maybe takes a few more shots this year. I actually think Brooks is an excellent pivot in tournaments off of a chalky Allen. He actually rates 1 point higher. In OF index, he's only 200 more over on FanDuel and 24% less owned. So if you're looking to get a little bit different, maybe play Brooks instead of Allen. I'm interested in those two and Booker. Other than that, not much for me from Phoenix. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, actually, along that mindset, I'm pretty into Brooks. I think he's a good pivot. I think he's a good play in general. Like he took 24 shots last game, which is pretty crazy. I think he looks good. And then Devin Booker's probably a little too cheap on FanDuel. You're kind of hoping for a big score because he don't do a lot else, but I think he's still playable.
Yeah, and then I don't know. They got some interesting bench pieces here, but I don't know that we want to dig too deep as some of this news is coming out. But let's go over to the Clippers side of things. Again, a bit of a new look here. Ty Lue kind of outsmarting himself. Didn't want to tell anyone Beal's minutes, and then they got completely run out of the gym. But yeah, Harden feels too cheap still. Very, very popular though at 8,200. Kawhi seems healthy to start the season, which is a rarity for him, but didn't look great against Utah either. I'm fine getting to Harden. Kawhi gives me some pause, but obviously he has the upside. And then Zubac, I'm fine getting to, but at the same time, like there's just so many centers that we can consider either higher or lower in terms of price range. Also with Brolo now as his backup, I'm not confident his minutes are going to be what they were last season. So yeah, I like Harden here, but so does the field. Don't mind Kawhi. Other than that, nothing I'm really rushing to for these Clippers. Smitty, how about you?
Yeah, same here. It's mainly Harden for me. I'm not going to play Kawhi until he shows me anything, like any signs of life.
Yeah, and I am going to do a quick refresh of the models because we did get a bunch of news in. Pulling up some chat here. We have Power saying this is where Steph has trapped me on my life, big game than regular game. Yeah, guys, I mean, historically, shooters, it's tough for them to go off of back to backs. Like jump shooters, your legs get tired, is what it is. But Steph, again, he's a guy who can do it if anyone can. We think Alexander will start. Yep, that's what I'm thinking as well. Like Nurkic, assuming foul trouble for Kessler on Sabonis. I mean, we have so much value with center man, especially with Queen now. We have Steven Adams, we have Jock Landell. That might be a little bit too narrow of a window for me to try to jump through. Show us the point guards on the model. Jose knows how to get his money worth from these shows. Credit to you, man. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of OF Index, we got Luca up there. I don't know, Cade in terms of value. We're looking at Keaton Wallace now. That is not a name I really had circled earlier in the day. Smitty, Wallace had some huge games last year when some of these other Hawks were out. Is he someone on your radar today?
No, not really.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if he starts, the model loves him though, so maybe that'll be adjusted. I guess we'll wait and see. DK Cash Staples, I would definitely say you're starting to look at the Miami Heat, Wiggins, Washington, Alexander Walker all stand out in a big way. I think those are kind of three you should start with. Smitty, in addition to those, are there any kind of cash core plays for you on DK? Again, I'm mentioning PJ, Wiggins.
No, I think all those are pretty good. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you are playing cash, news matters. Like you need to kind of wring every little tiny bit of value out of your lineup that you can. Just going through some news here quickly. DeAndre Jordan unlikely to make his debut per Coach Green, so we probably are going to see extended run for Queen if you do want to take a risk on him. I mean, Kalkbrenner paid off the other night. This is a very different spot though, and Kalkbrenner, very different type of player. It's big who shoots a lot. Ja and KCP are game time decisions. So again, keep an eye on this one. If Ja is out, I do really like Javon Smart. Cedric Coward is another guy you could probably mix in. And we'd have to see more usage for Jaren Jackson, I think, as well. But Smitty, you got a hunch on these Memphis guys? Because I certainly don't. Kind of hoping they're out so I could get to some Javon Smart. I am a fan of his. But I don't know. It's kind of tricky until we have that news.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I still lean there in, but I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they sit here or just Jaw sits and then the other one plays tomorrow. So it's just kind of up in the air.
Yep. And again, we have McBride starting for the Knicks, so we know that. We also got word that Cat and Hart are going to be game time decisions. So we got to kind of wait and see on that. Vince Williams without a timetable to return for the Grizzlies. Yeah, kind of is what it is from him. But guys, if you got any last second minute questions, go ahead and get them in. Smitty, let's go ahead and rip through some dummy builds here. I'll start to put in the obvious guys. We got Alexander Walker. Tell me this is going to load.
Wiggins.
Wiggins for sure.
Probably AD.
I mean,
EJ.
I know AD is kind of the chalk, but I'm jamming Wemby. So I kind of want to go with him. But
I'm cool with that.
Thoughts? You cool with that? Okay.
Yeah. We
Go
could
ahead,
throw
throw some
Queen
more
in there.
names. Who's that?
Queen
Queen.
for some value.
All right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Adams is maybe safer, but I was hoping Queen would be like 3K. At 4K, I do think Steven Adams is a little safer, but I'm fine with it, man. I think the ceilings are similar. Um, I wouldn't mind going with another Heat player, whether it's Powell or um, Davion. Feels a little bit thin, maybe. We got to fill point guard. Oh, McBride.
Yeah,
That one's obvious.
yeah. McBride feels a lot better than Tyus now.
Yeah, dude. I was hoping Tyus would be chalk. I wasn't really going to play him all that much. I don't know. We got Pritchard in this range. Any guards standing out to you? Again, I
um,
do like Davion more than the field, but it's a little bit cute, maybe.
yeah. Trying to think.
Pritchard, Castle, Norm
I like
Powell.
I like Pritchard or Castle. Either one's pretty good.
Let's go ahead and throw Pritchard in. He's a little bit cheaper. Forward, we still have 7K per. So, like, we could almost jam in. Who did we
Paolo.
say? AD? Like, what do we got left with
Yeah,
AD?
AD, Paolo. I think either one's pretty good.
Yeah, so we got AD and we have 44 per. I mean, I wish I was confident in the ball minutes, but I wouldn't mind throwing him in as the last piece. And well, Steven Adams. Here we go. This is a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, I like that.
Might just go ahead and log in and hit the enter button on that one. Let's do FanDuel real quick as well for the people. We got Alexander Walker. We got Deuce McBride. Um, I didn't play PJ Washington on DK. I do think he's someone you're probably going to want to get. Just to mention it, we're not going to go back and rebuild. Throw some names at me, Smitty.
Let's see.
I like Mitchell over here. I'm going to throw Davion in.
Yeah, we could go Dylan Brooks.
I like it.
Little GPP lineup.
Yeah.
I like Asar.
Okay. I won't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
Center here, looking at prices. I mean, we have so much salary. I think I just want to jam Wemby again.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Power forward, Kawhi is affordable. I mean, Jackson, if Jaw's out, is going to look great. If not, maybe find the salary for Jalen Johnson. I do like this 8K range a lot over here. Bam. One of these guys. We'll go Bam for the discount, but anyone in that range looks good. 74. I think Kawhi's underpriced, but I'd rather go to maybe Denny or Franz, or for Chuck, I'll throw Cooper Flag in. And then we got 8,400. We're looking at Jalen Johnson. So, again, it's pretty easy to build tonight, guys. You can fit Wemby in. AD is going to be very popular, but a lot of the other pay-ups seem to be under-owned. Let's see if we got any last-second questions. Appreciate you guys once again tuning in. Will we prioritize bigs from the late game? I don't think there's any priorities, Bat. I'm not really thinking of anyone right now. Okongwu's good too, Rocket, but I just don't know that he's going to see a huge boost in minutes, and playing alongside Jalen Johnson, I just don't know how big that bump is going to be for him. But definitely someone you can mix in. Smitty, any last thoughts? Anything I'm missing? Any situations you're monitoring? Obviously, the John Morant news is huge. The Knicks news is huge. Hawks here did just put out a lineup. Okongwu's starting at center, as expected. I do like him. That's all for now. But yeah, Smitty, any last thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it. I think you covered it.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud that we got through all those games. It's only 6:34. And guys, if you are tuned in, just got to plug myself here for a minute. 8 p.m., I will be on the Occupy channel breaking down UFC 321. It is the sports equinox today. We got football, hockey, basketball, baseball, all happening at once. Obviously, love to see that. Guys grinding out NFL content. We got some college hoops, or not hoops, ball guys in the Discord as well. But yeah, tune in tonight at 8 for UFC. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the links in the description below. As always, have fun tonight. Good luck, and let's make some money. Take care.